Welcome to Let's Learn 2024 D&D, where I go over a different rule of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in 2024. This is for people looking for a quick rule refresher or looking to get into the game. Today we're talking about heroic inspiration and leveling up. Let's learn. In 2024 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, heroic inspiration is a rehash of the 2014 inspiration rule. Essentially, heroic inspiration is a free reroll of any one d20 test. There are two kickers to this. The first is you must use the new result over the original roll. The second is this doesn't allow you to reroll two 20-sided dice if you have advantage or disadvantage. Only one of the two. In the case of advantage or disadvantage, you would still take the higher or lower result after the heroic inspiration is rolled. In the new rules, there are a couple ways to be awarded heroic inspiration. The first is automatically at the start of the session. Every character gets one heroic inspiration. You can only have one at a time, so it's good to use if you have it. The second case is your dungeon master awards it to you. The mindset is that you would be awarded it for doing something heroic. The last case you might be given additional heroic inspiration would be if your species is a human, they are awarded heroic inspiration after long resting, which we'll talk about in a later video, long resting. A couple small notes on heroic inspiration. As I mentioned, you can only have one at a time. Additionally, you can give your heroic inspiration to a player that doesn't have one. But regardless of you being able to do that, any player can only use one heroic inspiration per d20 test they make. So the next thing to cover today is leveling up. In Dungeons & Dragons, characters range from levels 1 to 20. In some cases, they can go higher or beyond that, but it's very rare and you don't often see it. Your level often represents the power of your character. Each class and some species gain different benefits when they reach certain levels in their class. It's likely when you make your first character, they will be a level 1. Depending on the class you play, you will have one of the dice that determines your health. For example, a fighter uses a d10, where a wizard uses a d6. Every time you level up in your class, you add that dice to your health along with your constitution modifier. To use a quick example, a level 3 fighter would have 3d10 plus 3 times their constitution modifier because they're level 3. Now, in the base rules of this version of the game, at level 1, you would start with the maximum number of your dice for your class as your health. So a fighter with a plus 3 modifier to their constitution would start with 13 health. Every time that fighter levels up, there are a few options that you can choose to do health. It kind of varies game by game and per what your dungeon master determines. In some games, you might see people taking the maximum dice, so 10 out of the d10, but most commonly people take half the dice plus 1. So in the case of a fighter, for the D10 case, it's 6. So half of 10 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then you would add your constitution modifier, which is 3 in this case. In the last situation, you simply roll the dice when you level up. This is one of those rules I would say is subject to what your dungeon master obviously wants to do. But I believe the most consistently used option is the average dice plus 1. I think it's important to cover some of these basics for level up because we will get to the end and make a character sheet and we can cover how a character would level up as well. But what it breaks down to is you consult the class you're playing in the player's handbook and you check what abilities they gain for leveling up. Then you add them to your character sheet. So when we get to the character sheet section, we'll go over how each class gains different abilities as they level up, and I can't go over exactly which one gets what abilities right now because we'd be listing them all day. So we'll get to that later on. But now that we have a general understanding of leveling up, I just want to answer the question, when do you level up? The primary two examples here are experience, and I want to also mention milestones. So experience is awarded based on defeating monsters and social encounters being overcome. Milestone is leveling up based on passing thresholds in a story set by your dungeon master. If you do experience level up, which is a pretty common one, at the end of a session or after certain encounters, your dungeon master will award you experience. And the player's handbook has a chart that specifies the amount of needed experience to level up. So once you go over that threshold, your character levels up. In milestone, you'll be told by the dungeon master when you level up. So either finishing an arc for a story or getting to a new quest line or finishing a quest. In both cases, it's generally understood that you'll level up after taking some form of short or long rest. In my games, it's usually a long rest, and we're going to talk more about short and long rests in a future video going over those specifically, so don't worry too much about that definition, or the definition of those two words. And with that, thank you all for listening to the Let's Learn. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. If there's another topic you want to cover for the 2024 rules of Dungeons & Dragons, or have a question about the topic just covered, leave a comment. The point of these videos is to be educational and informative and to help introduce the game to people who have not played before or want to get back into it. Thank you.